Bike for Blokes 2023, and as you can see, we're at Cape Reinga, ready to go. We've got a beautiful day, we've got hardly any wind, blue skies, which after the last few weeks is quite amazing. Before we do anything, just want to special mention to all those people in the Hawke's Bay that are suffering and going through hell down there, really. And we're hopeful that some of the efforts that we put in over the next 3 weeks will result in funds that we can contribute to them. We've got a bigger crew this year, as you can see. We've got JK and Rose and Andy, Mark joining us for the whole trip, and down on the end Lance is joining us for the first 4 days, and of course there's Paul and I in the middle.
A bit nervous to start, to be honest. So, obviously driving in is not the best outcome because you see what you've got to drive back or ride back against, but looking forward to it and really excited to get going.
People have asked why we're doing it again. They would say, gee, you guys have done it once, you ticked the bucket list box, so to speak. Why would you want to go and ride it again? But there's a number of things. Firstly, we just got such great support last year, and we had a level of momentum that really felt like we needed to continue. And from a fundraising perspective, we just look at the work that those charities have done with the money that we raised last year. If you've got a bit of momentum and you think you can raise more next time round, why wouldn't you? And create the opportunity to bring a few extra riders along and raise a bit more money is well worthwhile.
Whenever I see it, it felt really good until I saw the sign 1K to go.
That's the same sign. Guess what? They haven't moved it.
So we've got 51K to go.
Enjoyable. Some decent hills there, eh?
Yeah. Your water okay?
Fun. Yeah, great. Yeah.
A couple of good climbs there, mate.
Bike for Blokes version 2, Bruce.
Bike for Blokes version 2.
Awesome board.
Who would have thought we'd be doing this again?
The sequel.
The sequel.
A little summary there, JK. How things going?
Yeah, struggling. I'm glad it's only one day.
Good warm up, eh?
All good. It's good.
Fly away in my satellite, see the world fall below, fighting gravity.
Good morning from Awanui, Bike for Blokes 2023, and we're underway. We've got 100 Ks behind us, which means we've got 2,500 Ks in front of us.
Kia ora, Murray James, and I'm one of the independent directors for Timaki Farms. We farm about 9,000 hectares up here of iwi land, comprising of dairy, dry stock and forestry. We're just outside of Awanui at the moment, Bike for Blokes, and raising awareness about the stress levels of the mental health in the rural industry. Being a farmer myself, I understand these pressures that we put ourselves under.
Yeah, and on Facebook and anyone else who will listen to us.
It's great to have additional riders with us this year, and of course the first guy to put his hand up was Mark Withers, who's a guy that Rose and I know well from having completed previous cycling tours with him, but never fundraising trips. So Mark put his hand up and said he'd like to join us, and he's a good cyclist. He's a guy that's been through his own change in life in terms of dropping 20% of his weight and discovering health and fitness. So it's great to have somebody like that put their hand up and want to be part of it.
I've surprisingly made it from Cape Reinga to Kiri. Learned a few things on the way. I've had Lance giving me cycle tutorials on the way. Learned what chamois are for my shorts.
3 departure nerves. Another big day on the road. Looking forward to it. Catch you out there.
Morning, day 3. Looking forward to it again. Hopefully it won't be as tough as yesterday.
Tricky navigation.
My name's Mark Withers and I'm really thrilled to be on the ride, and for me it's been a real journey of health and fitness to get to a point where I could even contemplate something like this. My story started with needing a hip replacement at 40, and in the lead up to that, of course, you're not exercising, putting on a lot of weight. I got to 104 kilos and I knew I needed to do something about it. So first thing I did was Simon Galt's 4 Wheels of Health course, and I really sorted my diet out. Then I started looking around for sports, and I took up ocean swimming, and then cycling. I went and watched a cycle race, and I saw people coming across the finish line having done 100k, and they were all shapes and sizes, all with smiles on their faces, and I thought I'm going to give that a crack. And so I started small, and friends helped me learn the techniques and the stay safe options, and I've just been building on it. And over a year I managed to get my weight from 104 kilos down to 82, which was about 20%, but over 20% of my body weight. And you know, that lifestyle change, I've really tried hard to maintain that, and you know, being on the ride is a continuation of that personal journey and an opportunity to give back, and you know, maybe offer a little bit of inspiration and raise a bit of money for the great causes that we're supporting. So
Awesome place to live in. Been here for 17 years. My second home. The community around here is just great and lovely to see.
There's always a price to pay. We had a beautiful downhill and then a bitch of a uphill.
So if I hadn't had that chocolate, that hill would have been there.
Rachel. I work at Te Toki store. Our house, the water came up to our driveway, so we were pretty much stuck. We've got a farm just down the road, and half of our flats were under water, and our fences are full of rubbish. And one of our sheds blew down, so it was a fun time.
Bike for Blokes 2023, and that was the 25th Bike for Blokes stage for Paul and I, so bit of a momentous occasion. It's also the anniversary of our start date last year.
Got to dig deep a few times, but learning from these guys, legends. Good people in the north are welcoming us, which is great. Loving it.
You guys want to break up the surf chat and talk to us about cycling for a second, or?
Really?
You prefer not to think about cycling today?
I've got hours of cycling to think about, mate. I'd rather talk about surfing.
I'd rather talk about surfing.
Day 3?
Day 3, perfect conditions.
This morning, riding to Mangawai and hopefully a little beyond that. We've got a bit of a misty morning, but it's clear, there's not a lot of wind, so should be a good day. Cycling friends Lance Maitland is with us this year for the first 4 days, so he's riding from North Cape to Takapuna with us, and it's just good to have a really experienced cyclist, especially when the rest of us, the 6 of us, are finding our feet and learning to ride with each other. So to have a really experienced guy with us who knows what this is all about and multi-stage events and all of that sort of stuff is really, really helpful. Lance is a sub 10.5 hour Ironman in Hawaii. He's done 4 or 5 Ironmans. He's done a lot of bike riding over the years, so he knows what he's doing on a bike. And having somebody like that supporting us for the first few days while we find our feet is fantastic.
A couple of metres up the road's a big hill. I'm not looking forward to that one. And then we get over that one, go through a little wee cove, and then there's another big hill.
Killing me seeing that surf. This lady's a cyclist.
Yes,
She just volunteered that she's 74. I don't know if she wants to say that on the video or not.
No, I've done there's not much I haven't done on all the tours. I've done me 20, well, I've got one more to go for Taupo.
Done Taupo 19 times. We decided to stop at Waipu Cove because Andy's never been here. Can you imagine that? A guy with a surf life-saving pedigree has never been to Waipu Cove. So you guys have already helped, as I say, $780. I got $10 in the car park, so that's $790. If anybody wants to come up and give me a $10 note, it'll get us over the $800. Anybody wants to give me $200, it'll get us over $1,000. But not that I'm asking. Come on, guys. There is an Fantastic. I know how this works. Let's keep giving money until this bugger stops talking.
My name is Gerard Smedeker, as you see. I belong to the Mango White Golf Club. That's the easy part, huh?
Bike for Blokes 2023, we are at the Auckland Ferry Terminal and gathering with a group of riders who are going to join us as we ride south out of Auckland. And one of the people that's joined us is former world champion triathlete Rick Wells, who... Got a screen? Oh, here's Wendy now. You missed the photo. Do it again. The total on the fundraising page every morning before we start and every afternoon when we finish, and we had a day last year that we had 120 kilometres into a headwind and we arrived at the finish for the day and the total hadn't moved from the morning, and that was a particularly tough day because we love seeing that number tick up every day.
Well done, guys. Awesome. Well done.
Stu? Yep. Guys, I want to introduce Stu the farmer. I've known of Stu for over a year. Met him today for the first time face to face. We got introduced on the radio, rock radio station, and big on men's mental health. Put $1,000 for the account last year, and we've talked on email, we've talked on text and fax and bloody phone and everything else. Part of our plan for 2023 was to stop in Rangariri, which ironically happens to be about 10 minutes from Stu's house.
And now it's time to let it go and talk to people. And that's why I always reflect to that conversation. I know you reflect to the same conversation. And when you're down, like, shit, you just think of that day and think of what happened. It's like, we met for a reason.
Get close to
that's why we are. That's why we're here today.
Thanks,
doing
mate.
what we do.
Unreal. Love your work.
So keep doing what you're doing. You're doing us proud. You're doing New Zealand proud. Keep it up.
Thank you.
One of the things that sticks in our minds from 2022 was that, there was just a really cool story from every single day, and some days there was more than one. And on our first day, we rode from Cape Reinga to Kaitaia, and we pulled up in the car park of the Kaitaia Pack and Save, and a lovely old Maori fella came over and looked at the bikes and asked us what we were doing and why we were doing it, and we told him about the fundraising, and he sort of nodded his head as people like that sometimes do and walked away. And about 5 minutes he came back with a $20 note and he said, I really like what you guys are doing, this is for your cause.
Welcome to Narawahia.
Hey! Hey Rod, thanks for joining Bike for Blokes. What made you decide to come out with us today?
Oh, look, Bruce, I'm a sucker for a great cause. I think riding for men's cancer, prostate cancer, men's mental health, particularly in the farming sector, is really important stuff. We've been through some tough times, particularly recently, particularly with what's happened down the Hawke's Bay, so it's a great cause and I love it. I love an excuse to get on a bike.
Good man, thanks for joining us, Rod.
My pleasure.
Morning tea is sponsored by my lovely friend Max. Narawahia, fresh muffins. Mwah.
For the second year in a row, Ian Borley's decided to join us on this particular stage. I think he must like it because it's flat, or relatively flat. So Ian, thanks for coming along again. What makes you keep turning up for Bike for Blokes?
Oh, arm twisting for sure, and like I say, it's the flat stage. Bit of a wimp really.
Look, it's a privilege to ride with you guys and help out with the cause. There's a lot of charities that help out men's health, and you know, we're not getting younger, and we all need help with me sometimes, so it's a privilege to join you guys.
Bike for Blokes 2023, day 7. We are in Otahonga and we're heading for Taumarunui via Tikawiti, the great bakery in Tikawiti for morning tea. So we're heading that way.
But I wanna, let's fly away in my satellite, see the world fall below, fighting gravity, see what it's like.
Where are you going? I don't know. Oh.
All the best for your trip to Stafford, and we love having you in Tikawiti.
I'd like to see you ride across the water to the still okay. Thank you. You're welcome. Right, come on, beasting.
Lunchtime's over.
Hi, Bike for Blokes 2023, and we are in Taumarunui on an afternoon that was meant to be raining, but it's just a bit overcast. I'm here with John Greenwood. John, you've got a little bit of a story as to why you joined the Bike for Blokes team as a driver and supporter this year. Do you want to share those thoughts with us?
Well, look, I joined firstly because Bruce is an old mate from way back. I respected him very much for doing the ride last year when he did it, and it was interesting. At the time that he started to do it, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and so it was a little motivating for me to follow Bruce on the first trip. And when I found out they were looking for drivers on this trip, I decided to do it. I think the biggest thing with prostate cancer is blokes' negativity to getting themselves checked. You get your car serviced every 6 months, and you should get yourself serviced. When your wife tells you or nags you to go and have a blood test, go and have a blood test, because that's all it was for me. Just had 3 blood tests, they weren't good, and I was diagnosed with it, had my scans, and the surgeon just suggested that I have it out, which I did. And that was a year ago, and I'm completely clear. So I can't stress enough how important it is to just go and have that checkup. And I have to say this, Bruce, but it's no longer sticking a finger in the thumb. It's just a blood test. Simple as that.
There you go, guys. Simple message.
Thanks.
Thank you, Greenie, and thanks for all your work on the road with us over the last few days. Simple message for you blokes out there, right? Just go and get a check. Go and get a test and make sure you're all right. If you're not all right, well then they can fix you up pretty good. And I can tell you, Greenie's been pretty good over the last couple of days with us, so it's great to have him.
Fantastic.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, Bruce.